Well, great to see you, first of all. It's been 11 years since I last interviewed you at CNN.
The movie just came out, right?
The Wolf of Wall Street had just come out. Your life was literally exploding in a way you didn't really understand or what was going to happen. But what's been your life like since then?
You know, the movie, and it was a special movie. You know, Leo Martin.
Brilliant film.
Incredible job. And it just became like the biggest cult hit, or one of the biggest in history. And I am grateful for that. And again, it was great to have that platform, and I used that to really build my business of speaking and mentoring around the world. I've written other books since, new one now, right? The Wolf of Investing. But it's been a wild ride, to say the least, but I'm more grounded this time. More grounded.
Well, you don't look a lot different. You're looking good, Nate. It was $400 million at the box office.
Right.
But I think it took a lot more elsewhere, right?
Right. Well, again, the box office did great, but it was the single most pirated movie in history that year. Beat Frozen. It was like, I think, 200 million illegal downloads.
There is an irony about a movie about you being the most pirated in history.
There's two reasons for that. Number one, because you had to be over 18 or 17 to watch it, so a lot of kids downloaded it. And also, in many countries, because of all the cursing, there was 506 F-bombs, right? The movie was like 50 minutes long in a lot of Islamic countries. They couldn't air a lot of it.
Really?
So to watch the real movie, you had to watch it online by illegally downloading. And then it just kept going and going and became this massive cult. There was songs written about me in the movie. It just never would have expected that, but I'm grateful for it,
When I watched it again the other day, and I thought I might interview you when I came here, it was fascinating to me to think about when you were in your office environment at its craziest, how you would possibly have survived today's world, today's human resource control world, today's cancel culture world. You think about a woman who shaved her head in the office, in the room, for $10,000 to get breast implants. The dwarf brought in to be thrown at a Velcro dartboard.
Probably wouldn't go over too well today, right?
Jonah Hill, his character eating a goldfish, which I know did happen, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
When you look at it, you chuckle about what would have happened today.
Listen, on some level, right, a lot of the stuff that doesn't happen anymore, it's good in some level, but on some level it's bad because we also had a hell of a lot of fun. In the process, people loved going to work there. So I think on some level this woke stuff has taken fun out of the workplace.
Offices have become the most boring places on God's earth.
You used to go there and a lot of people meet their ultimate life mate.
40% of people used to meet their spouse at work. What happens now?
I don't know.
How does it even start now?
Online, I guess, right? But I mean, it's insane. You got to be so careful nowadays, right?
We just got very boring. I mean, when you look at what your life was like, I know you've cleaned up your act, but have we just got very boring?
I think that the death of everything started with the smartphone. You used to be able to kind of get away with stuff, like it wasn't being collated, photographed, and posted online. Social media has turned everything into basically, a fishbowl and a cesspool.
Would you have felt neutered by a cell phone?
I think so, but I can't imagine us being any different than we were. We were young and wild, and I've watched it slowly, incrementally get more sane, the world, so to speak. Then it just went nuts with all the woke stuff, and it was necessary, some of it. Some of the stuff was in Me Too was necessary, but a lot of it is like anything else is wild overcorrection. It goes to the other side, and, it's got to... Now, hopefully, it's starting to make its way back to the middle. So hopefully we'll end up in a better version of what we once had, which was the fun without, some of the madness, but still some madness. I just think it's still good.
When you go out and about and you're in a restaurant or a bar or whatever, I mean, is there just a constant pressure from people for you to be that guy?
Like people, listen, people always come up to me and they're always really nice and they love the movie, they love the books, they love my speeches. But a lot of them say, was it really that crazy? I'm like, it was worse. We were wild.
Well, you told me last time, I think it may have been at your bachelor party, that something happened that was so depraved. You couldn't even tell me on air.
Yeah, and even though it's on YouTube...
This show is called Uncensored.
Yeah, well, it's so bad. I got to say, I have a wife now for the last 4 years, great, young, beautiful, amazing wife.
Does she know what it was?
Thankfully, when we first met, she spoke Spanish, not English. Now she speaks fluent English, right? So, in the beginning, she couldn't quite figure it out, but I think now she's like, I don't even want to know. But there's people still missing from my bachelor party, I think. We never found them. It was like 15 years ago, 25 years ago. No one knows where they are. But, it was pretty wild.
You said a really interesting thing last time we met, and it was that you spent a lot of time with Leo DiCaprio. And apart from the fact he'd never taken drugs, and you had to show him what it's like when you're off your head on Quaaludes, which he managed to replicate very convincingly, from what I hear. But it was interesting to me. You were talking about, there was a quote I read to you from Leo, in which he had completely accepted that there were two Jordan Belforts.
Right.
Life before incarceration and life after incarceration.
Yeah.
He'd absolutely respected that journey you'd been on, and was incredibly praiseworthy about you as a human being, which meant a lot to you at the time.
Did, yeah.
But you know, do you get that from everyone, or are there still a lot of people who say, you know what, I watched the movie and it's fine, but there were a lot of people that you took to the cleaners with your criminal activity, and we shouldn't be celebrating someone like you. Do you still get that or not?
A lot less after the crisis, you know, in 2008, 2009, right? I think people have come to realize that Wall Street is a very dangerous place, and it's, you know, it's very hard pressed to find any firm that, you know, if you look at, for example, any great financial crime, you know, who's in the middle of it? Usually Goldman Sachs, right? And that's not to say they don't do great things as well. And this book that I wrote is about that, like, because Wall Street is massively corrupt, right? It's an unlevel playing field that, you know, puts the little guy at a huge disadvantage. Yet Wall Street still creates massive value, and it's necessary for the economy. So the question is, how do you participate? How do you extract your fair share of the value that Wall Street creates without getting sucked into the dark side, which I was once a part of, and get your money either taken from you quickly or slowly, or just get bled dry by engaging in things they recommend, like short-term trading?
Because people I know that knew you in your heyday, they said the thing about Jordan was he would have been a billionaire anyway without any criminal activity. You were that good as a trader, as a guy that understood money, that you didn't ever need to cross that line. And you talk very openly and honestly about crossing the line. I'm not going to re-legislate all that. But it was interesting to me that people felt you had that natural thing. And your success as a sort of motivational speaker and advisor, and you write these hugely popular books and so on, when you read them, you think, well, this guy's just really smart, right? And you are.
Well, I can thank my parents for that. But you know, I think, yeah, it's true. And I think the sad part is if I wouldn't have, like, taken that left turn at Albuquerque, so to speak, right? I probably would have made like 10 or 20 billion because I would have hit the internet bubble.
Right.
And I was taking companies public. So, yeah, like, and I think one of the lessons, and it's not in this book, this is more on how to invest your money wisely without getting sucked in. But in other books I've written, I speak about, like, one of the biggest mistakes people make is that, yeah, you could cut a few corners and make money a little bit quicker. But the big money, the real big money, that takes time, and you can't cut corners, because if you do, there's something you can cut, but you can't just go, if you're not giving value to people, if you're not providing some massive value, that's not going to be sustainable. And to make the billions, you got to be giving value. And you can always monetize value, but you got to be giving value.
Somebody watching this who maybe likes to dabble a bit in stocks and shares and so on, maybe a bit of property, whatever it may be, what is the best way to be successful with money, to beat the system, which is so skewed against the ordinary guy?
So this is really simple, and this is what the book is about. So property is a separate issue here, but talking about stocks, like, you know, there's two parts of money. Okay, you got to make a certain amount of money, right? And you also have to not spend more than you make. That's like sort of the budgeting side of things, right? But assuming that you make some amount of money, have a bit left over, whether it's small or large, the real question is, what do you do with that money? How do you put that money to work in the markets so that when you're ready to retire one day, you have a giant nest egg waiting for you? And the irony is that all the things that you might think you should do are what you shouldn't be doing. Like, for example, trying to find a young winning stock and then, you know, buy it and sell it and make a big profit, or time the market, or, you know, which sector should I be in? All that stuff is just work. Human beings by nature are terrible stock pickers. We sell when we should buy, we buy when we should sell. The simple way is you want to buy the entire market, is an index, the S&P 500. And you want to buy it and hold it. And you could start with a little bit of money or a lot of money. It could be $10,000, it could be $1 million, right? But the key is you want to make little contributions every month, every quarter, right? And let time do the heavy lifting.
But what about the Warren Buffett way?
That's his way.
Well, his way, he actually believes, he studies individual companies very, very carefully.
Right.
and then he invests for the long term in companies that he believes are very well run and have a regular cash flow. So people, American Express, Coca-Cola, all that kind of stuff. And he's one of the wealthiest investors in history. Is that really what you're talking about? Where you choose?
Yes.
I mean, he has a portfolio of stocks, but he's in there for the very long term.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If you ask Warren Buffett, he says this exact thing.
I did ask him, and that's what he said.
He said buy the S&P 500, buy all the best companies, and hold them for the long term.
How many should you have?
All of them.
There's 500.
That's right, all 500. You buy it in one trade. It's the most economical, tax-efficient
You buy the
way.
whole shebang.
Buy all of them. Why?
But that's not what Warren does.
On some level, it is. Now, again,
he only has like under 20 stocks he owns. Right?
There's a difference, though. So there are about maybe 3 or 4 people in the world that can beat the S&P 500. He's one of them. All these other hedge funds and mutual funds, they don't even beat the index each year. On average, they underperform the index, and after all their fees and commissions and performance bonuses,
But it's okay. But I just want to throw back at you. Part of the thing of being an investor in the stock market is the fun of it. It's a bit like betting on horses. Right. You're sucking the fun out of it with this strategy.
No.
Because you're saying just put it all into this thing.
Yeah.
Nothing, it's not going to, all you'll see is that one index fluctuating in value. Up and down, and probably over time it'll keep ticking up. It's very safe. It's very un-early Jordan.
Right. Well, here's the difference, though.
Where's the fun?
The fun is you should set aside 5 to 10% of your money and do exactly what you're saying. Have fun, speculate, trading it out. But listen, you know what's fun? Retiring and being frickin' rich. You know what sucks and is no fun? Retiring and being frickin' poor. Okay? As I always said in the movie, I've been rich, I've been poor, I choose rich every time.
Where are
Never
you?
Look back.
Where are you now?
Thankfully, I'm wealthy.
How rich are you now?
I don't want to say, but I thankfully do very,
Can I
very
guess?
well. What?
Can I guess?
Can you guess? You can guess.
If I was a guessing man from when I last saw you to now, 30 million.
Okay. Well, listen.
Dollars.
Again, I do very, very
Am I in the ballpark?
I don't want to say. Okay?
Up or down?
I don't want to say.
More or less?
I don't want to say.
Come on.
No, I don't want to.
Give me a bone.
I really don't want to say. I do very, very well.
Why are you so reticent? This is a guy that used to boast about this stuff.
That's because I think that as an older and wiser person right now, I don't think it's important how much I'm worth. Okay, what's important is that I do really, really well. I have everything I want.
People are going to read your book, The Wolf of Investing, right? I thoroughly enjoyed it. But they're going to read this and go, well, all right, but how much is he worth then? Because that will dictate whether I believe
You
it.
can go online and they have my net worth posted as $100 million.
Is that what it says?
I have no idea how they got that figure. No idea at all. But that's what it says. Why it says it, I have no idea.
So that's 3 times what I guessed.
But I have no idea. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's what the online says, and I have no idea.
Why are you instructing me to go and check that online?
Because you're pressing me. I'm just kidding. That's my way out, by the way. But I'll tell you this. One thing no one ever accused me of is not knowing how to make money.
No.
I've been accused of many things.
But I also know...
Never that.
But knowing you, I also know you would know how much you're worth to the nearest dollar.
Right. No, actually, believe it or not, I'm not like that. That's more like my dad. I was never a counter of money. I was just an earner of money. My philosophy, which I don't suggest for most people, is, just make so much money that you don't have to worry about spending money.
Right.
That has always been my philosophy.